So, Cari, you have all these tattoos, darling. Are you part of a gang? What's this all about? Oh my gosh.
Nope. I wish I was part of a gang. I'm not that cool though.
Because you're pretty much you look like you're tatted all over except for like your left leg. Is that like a decision all at once or kind of like?
I'm starting to feel a little claustrophobic in my own body. Like sometimes I realize how much I have, and I'm like,
Just start taking showers with the shirt on.
I'm like, yeah, like, oh geez, this is getting a little full now. Yeah, I'm serious. The other day I was like,
Has that affected other parts of your life? Because people say like, tattoos are unprofessional. Have you like felt that?
no. When I had my ears stretched really big, that held me back, and like a lot of piercings. Because I used to have like so much on my face, and then my earlobes before I had them reconstructed, they were tattooed underneath. So all you would see is that when you'd look at me, and then when I wanted to get into like leadership, I was like, I'm gonna get them reconstructed. So I asked them, I'm like, cut off as much of the tattoo as you can, and then would be good. But I still have like a tiny bit right there, but you can't really see it.
So you had gauges before?
Yeah, I had like 2-inch lobes. They were like down here.
What the heck?
Yeah.
So did they just cut them off?
Yeah, they just they like numbed me up really good, and they cut off everything, and then I told them I want them as like tight as possible, so you can't tell.
So how does it feel like being a part like of the body modification world, and then like kind of going back? Is it kind of like you wish you never did it, or it's just kind of like, well, I thought it was cool then?
No, I would still have them now, but one, it would hold me back in my job. Two, when I moved to Phoenix, I was living in Tucson, I moved to Phoenix, and I just had like a really stressful experience. All of a sudden, one ear shrunk up like a 1/4 inch, and I'm like, okay, what are my options? I could either cut my lobe or go to like another body modification like artist. It's so much money, and I was already invested like maybe a few $1,000s. I'm not gonna go and.
Do you ever just like put your headphones through the gauges just so they can stay in place better?
No, my headphones always fall out because my tragus is cut, and so I have like 2 rings in each, and they always like pop out. Like they always pop out.
Wow. So is there anything else that you want to do, or are you kind of like just turned off from the idea of the tattoos?
No, I'll probably always get tattooed. Like I want to finish my leg. I need to finish my thigh, and then I want to do like scarification on the back.
What's scarification?
Basically it's a scar, so it's like I have black on my leg, so they just draw whatever, the art. I'm gonna kind of leave it up to the artist, but basically you get back your skin tone because it's black, and then they're gonna, scar you, usually with like my understanding it's like a serrated blade, and you're like numbed up a little bit. It's kind of like getting tattooed, but it's a little bit worse.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, because I never know, because it's always like random, like, I don't know, people like, do your tattoos like have meaning, or are they just kind of like, I just thought this was cool, so that's why I got them?
Well, like my leg, I like Ganesh, so when I lived in Tucson, I used to go to like Hare Krishna temples. I don't get down with that anymore. That's a little too much for me. I don't really do organized religions, but I do like what Ganesh represents, so I got like a Ganesh. And then I wanted my whole leg black for a long time, but my friend was like, don't do it. He tattooed me for a long time. So then I just kind of have like a floral pattern around it, and I have a picture of my dogs that passed. And then some of them have meanings, like I like spiritual stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's on there, or like my poodle, like my mom calls me Poodle, so stuff like that, but not like, I've always just liked art, so.
Yeah, I have my first tattoo, it was like a tree, and then it was just like, my neighbor was like, what does it mean? I was like, branch out.
Or like I always get asked like, oh, what do your hands mean? I'm like, I remember like drawing this, and I thought, okay, I went to the artist, and I'm like, hey, can you do this? I have this idea, and they're like, yeah.
Like, this is what I want people to see before I punch them in the face.
Basically, yeah. Don't fuck with me. But I have so many cover-ups, too. Like, my leg is, like, one giant cover-up. And, like, my hands, I've had them done, like, 3 times each. Mm-hmm. So many cover-ups.
I know you recently got into stand-up within the past, like, year or so. Mm-hmm. Is there any other art forms, or have you just kind of been more... Like, what's been, like, your medium?
Just always hair. I always did hair, and then just like the past 2 years I started nails, and then waxing, and then brows and stuff, so that's more like what my niche was. I never thought I would do stand-up. I just met somebody, and then I met somebody else that night, and it just kept happening. getting into stand-up and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool community once you're kind of like, because I feel like maybe depending how you are, yeah, I just kind of felt like people started saying what's up to me, and then like it took like maybe like a few months for people to say, oh yeah, what's up, Jeff, and then I was just like, oh nice, I kind of feel like welcome.
Yeah. So because I was managing like a barbershop for a long time, and I didn't have any friends, and like I was always so consumed in that world, and then when I started going, I would just go out with like meetup groups, and then it kind of led from that to going to an open mic just to see if I liked it, and then Dietrich Shelton, I went just to look, and he's like, oh, are you going up? Because he saw me at a bar that Saturday that had passed, and he's like, if you don't go up, you're a little bitch. And I was like, nobody calls me that. Oh my god, nobody calls me that. So I just went up, and I would make my clients laugh just saying silly
Well, do
shit.
you know the first joke you said? Because I just feel like you'd say something quirky.
Like that I used to be a lesbian, and that when I'm like, but now I still date guys now, and so I scare them off because I want to ask him to move in like the second date, and that's like so lesbian. Like straight guys do not like when you ask them that. They do not. They're like, what? I'm like, oh no, I misread the vibe. I always misread the vibe. Yeah. Always never fails.
I thought you said when you like being around me that you
didn't want to adopt a cat?
You did.
Yeah, I thought that's what I was getting at.
You didn't want to put our names together for tax purposes?
Yeah, I have my APS bill right here. Yeah, you can just get right on it. I can just get on the mobile app. It's really easy.
It's like commit.
Yeah, commitment. Yeah.
Because I know you have a joke, about finding a hetero.
Oh yeah.
At least you tell me that. She's like, I'm gonna find a hetero, Jeff.
I know, yeah.
Is it a constant thing? Like, not that you search for it, but are you kind of just like, I just want someone around a little bit more.
Oh my god, I'm gonna lock it down as soon as I get a chance. I'm so tired of being single. I'm locking it down. Me and my friend were talking about that the other day too, because she's a lesbian, and I was like, yeah, I went on like one date with this guy, but if it would have been receptive, like mutual feeling, I would have locked that shit down. And like that night, she's like, I know, I feel like queer people because we don't date this is our experience, not everybody, but me and her, we haven't dated as much. So like even with her partner, I think they moved in like the second date. She like it's like so fast. And just because you want a partner, you know what I mean? You just get that mutual feeling.
Do you feel? Because I heard this one person on a podcast for days. No, but do you think it's like something to do like where you are at in life? Like you feel like you should be settling down, or I don't know if you want children. It's just like, oh, I feel like
I want to be knocked up so bad.
So do you think that's like, because I heard like sometimes like girls will like lower their standards, like you have good genetics and you have a decent paying job, like let's do this.
No. I do something like very instinctual. So like I've dated like a few people, but like I know right away like, okay, this isn't going anywhere. So like my parents won't give me a hard time. They're like, you don't give people a chance. I'm kind of like all or nothing. Like I know if something's not going to go that way, I'll communicate right away. I just feel it in my gut. I always trust my gut. But I've been lucky, like the partners that I have had in the past, they were like so awesome. So sweet. It just wasn't working out. We were both young. We just figure stuff out. What you like, what you don't like, and so to answer your question, I do want to settle down, but I'm not gonna settle. It's just I can't do that. I've worked like so hard financially and with my own career and stuff.
No, the only reason because I know like at the church I used to go to, there was this couple, and they were both like, I think she was like 34. And he was like 37, and like got together like, yo, we need to do this like right now.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't happen naturally, I mean, I've been told several times I can't even have children. So if that's the case, then okay, but I can always adopt. I'm not gonna settle I told my mom the other day, I'm like, if I get to 50 and I still am not with somebody, I will like totally have a baby by myself. I'll like adopt a baby, like I don't care, or adopt an older kid. Who cares?
I like the thing of like. Because I say a lot of people that are in like just like an orphanage and stuff are kind of going through that process. A large part is like they don't have a network to kind of help them. Like maybe like I don't realize how much of a network I had when I was 18, but I had somewhere just to go. And I knew a buddy that just worked a place, and I was able to maybe get a job a lot easier. But when you're in that system, it's just like you don't really know anybody.
Yeah, no, I would be like totally down to like adopt a kid too. I don't know if I wanted to pass necessarily, not that my genetics are bad, like my parents are great and I like myself. I don't know if I want to pass my genetics on to somebody else just because I've struggled so much with mental health. If another person has their own mental health issues that I'm not aware of, that's like totally cool. Let's just start anew. chapter, and like I could help them out if they're a little bit older, if they're a little younger, whatever. Not a
What
baby.
what part of mental health do you think comes from situation versus genetics?
I don't know. I think like a lot of people. So for like me, I had like really bad PTSD after I had like a sexual assault when I was in high school. So that really did not do good for me.
Mm.
And I think I always kind of had like some mental health struggles. And my mom and dad, my mom's side, I know they did. So I think to answer your question, like they kind of had like a general mood disorder. But definitely for me, in my experience, when I went through like getting sexually assaulted and then having kind of like PTSD kind of symptoms after, it was like really difficult to navigate.
Did you acknowledge it right then and there?
No, it took me a few years to like really admit what happened.
Okay, because I was
Yeah.
thinking like it was something I don't know if I said it on another interview, but I was thinking like when do you realize something is traumatic versus is like normal? Not that your situation was like
Oh
normal,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
the girl like there's this female like in South Korea where she says growing up she saw dead bodies every day, and one day she's like that was traumatic versus like oh that was just my life.
Yeah, I recognized that it was really like hindering me in relationships. Like I couldn't connect with people, and I also was acting out like a lot. Like I was like shoplifting and like acting out sexually, stuff that is not in my character at all. And then I went to counseling, and they were like kind of like helping me, and I was like, okay, I think what happened was inappropriate. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, oh, I mean, yeah, it's like that was really bad. Like you should not do that.
There, I was listening to Aziz Ansari. I like his stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
He had this one bit. He's just like, sometimes you just gotta look back at your life and just see, was I molested? I don't know. I just thought maybe I don't know dark tone, but I was just like, that's kind of true. It's like, was I? Maybe, but.
Yeah, my mom has helped me so much with that too. Like even like a few weekends ago, I found out a friend of a friend did something I didn't agree with, right? And I don't know, I just kind of like separated myself, but it triggered me. And I told my mom, like, Mom, do you think what happened to me was assault? And she's like, well, you know what I think, because we've said this like thousands of times, but what do you think? I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, you just have to like trust yourself. What happened was wrong. You just have to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like so grateful.
What is context in the situation, or is that too private?
I was an older person, so like it was an older person that hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that.
I feel,
Yeah.
do you know when you've healed, or have you had a relationship? Well, obviously from the past, just said you haven't had too many relationships, but have you ever been with someone, either a friend or like lover, and just be like, oh, it's weird. I'm not like I haven't felt this open since I was like 14 years old.
I've been really lucky because like I've only had like 2 relationships, but both of them I was like, hey, it's kind of hard for me to like be close in some ways. Like if you can be like like if you could understand where I'm coming from before we go down this road. And they were like, I've been really lucky. Like all my friends have been great. All my partners that I've never called people like my ex-boyfriend or anything, or like because they've all just been so nice to me.
What is the definition of like them trying to be too close to you?
Well, like, like you start out as, for me, like it's easy to start out as friends, but like I've had one guy, like we went out and like immediately, like 30 minutes into us meeting, he was like trying to kiss me, and I was like, nope, like don't fucking touch me. I do not want you to touch me. It's too much.
Okay, so it's mainly just kind of you just have boundaries, and you just like sometimes they just.
Yeah, it takes a little bit longer for me to feel like comfortable intimately, but I mean that's just boundaries. Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean everyone has that. It's kind of like respect the no.
Yeah, I mean I was like, what's your mom like? He's like, oh, la, la, la. I'm like, oh my god, what? What is that?
What is it? Kind of making a quick pivot. How does it kind of work with you and your professional life with working, and then just kind of like, do you just drown yourself in that to kind of distract yourself sometimes, or how's it?
I used to. So like when I was like, well, I've been in the salon since I was like 18, and so like around then I was starting to have like a lot of issues, and I remember I would just like drown myself in work. Like I'd work like 6 days. There was one time I worked like 2 weeks straight. Mm-hmm. I'll just be like, it's better to be a workaholic in my opinion than go down other routes.
Yeah, well, yeah, I just think it's my buddy. He said. It's just like, hey, whatever you're dealing with, like you can like keep working and then like just kind of keeping yourself busy, but once you lay down on the bed, like that shit will just hit you randomly. Do you feel like that with how much I don't know if you were like working to kind of just distract yourself or working just because it's just like some people they get their fulfillment just from their work and that's like this is my life. Yeah.
So a little bit of both, just because I am grateful that I've been good at what I do. So like it makes me feel good to know that I'm good and I'm confident in something. And then if I just apply myself like crazy, then it like helps to stay busy and keep your mind occupied. And then when you do like, in the past, like I was going to therapy. When I go to therapy, I'm like, okay, I'm dedicating this time to work on this, and then when this is done, I can manage the feelings and manage everything, and then I move on with my life.
Because you come from like a Hispanic background?
Yeah.
So, because they say like a stereotype is Hispanics don't talk about nothing.
Oh my God, no. Like, it's like buried down. But not my parents though. Like my parents have really like changed how they think of stuff, and they have been like very affirming to what my experiences have been. They've been like the perfect epitome of parents. Like they're amazing. But yeah, I mean their situations weren't the same. I'm sure my grandparents' situations weren't the same. So we've just been lucky to like break the cycle and talk about stuff. But
yeah, it's crazy thinking about like grandparents' lives, just how drastically different things change. Because my grandpa, like in Dominican Republic, he like got like attacked with a machete, like, and then like they left him for dead and he survived, and then you see pictures of him, he just has like these long nubs that are disoriented, and it's just like, wow, that's crazy.
yeah, like I could not imagine that.
And we have a metaverse.
I know, it's like my life is very gentle now. It's like so very easy. I'm very blessed.
Yes. Throw us in any other century, we will not make it.
Yeah, like I'd be like a machete, like what? Just don't touch the face. Don't touch my face. I have to go to work tomorrow. It's been a whole thing.
It's like, we're gonna kill you, but the funeral has to be open casket.
Oh my God,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Please, no thank you, yeah.
What is so you talked about earlier when we were speaking before camera, you said you wanted to have your own like chair or is like your own salon?
Yeah, so I want to have my own salon, just like a little creative space, and then have like an area for like open micers to come and have shows or something in that area.
How is that jump? Is that a big jump compared to where you are right now?
Yeah, because I want to own a building.
And what are some things that you think are impeding you that you didn't know prior?
Just financial stuff. It's just gonna cost money, but I mean, people save up money all the time. I just have to apply myself and do it.
Okay, I always like wondering like what's like, because I never knew how like stressful it was to buy a house and how much attention it was.
Yeah.
And how more rich everyone is than me. She's like, I am not as well off as I thought I was. Oh my gosh.
No, I mean, I just have to apply myself and save up the money. That way I can go in making a lucrative business. Because, like the thing is I think the first 2 years you don't make any money, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can go in if you have clientele.
Mm-hmm. Have you thought of like ever leaving Arizona and take just like, because I feel like that's the hard part about when you're doing stuff that's very client based. Like it's just like, wow, like what if I like have all these clients over here in Arizona and I move to like say like New York? So it's like, what would I'd be like starting from scratch.
Yeah, I mean that's why you have social media and you just market yourself. And then I used to be an assistant to this guy who lived in Miami and would come here once a quarter, and he'd have all these people lined up, and then in Miami he'd have people, and just market yourself and think of who's your perfect clients. Okay, well you meet your perfect client, they have friends. Okay, they have those friends have friends, and those friends have friends, and you just find your ideal person.
How do you consciously try to improve in like either the cosmetics or like stand up? Like what is something you do to consciously like, all right, like let me watch a YouTube video or like.
Yeah, and I always ask for feedback too. Like even in my field, like I just shadowed somebody like last week. I'm like, hey, I'm not like I'm 100%, but I want to be 110%. Like, can I shadow you? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, perfect. I feel like way better about that. Or like comedians, like Dana, I really respect. Like I've asked her, like, hey, what did you think about this? Or Phyllis, I remember like the second time. I remember at El Charo, I'm like, you have to get up. You have to sign up the first 3 and do it in front of an actual crowd. Like you have to stop going up at like 11. And I told Phyllis, like, tell me what you think of this. And she told me her honest feedback. And I'm like, that was great feedback. Like, find people that you respect and you like their stuff, and then they'll give you feedback.
I like how you said number 3 while I'm out here going up number 47. Just, what's up, guys?
I do like El Charro though, but it's like, oh my god, this list is so long.
Have you ever gone to the music open mic?
No, dude.
You should like
go.
you should just either take one of your heteros or just hit me up and just like let's go to this music open
I
mic.
know there is a hetero that goes there that I have looked at with an eye of desire. You want to know what? The first time I ever did stand up, I ran into him and he took all the chairs away from my table.
You're like
And
that's.
then 3 hours later, he came up to me and was like, "I really like how thick you are," and I was like, "That's not a compliment. Number one, two, you look like Keanu Reeves if he had an opioid problem, which I'm kind of into."
There's so many twists and turns with this story.
I know. It's a roller
I
coaster.
was gonna say something smooth, and you're just like, you know what? That's actually rude, but I like it.
I know. He's an art teacher. They'll break your heart every time.
How's it been like kind of getting more immersed in like the kind of having two different worlds? So you do your hair, then you do like stand up.
Oh, it's fine. I love being out and being around people, so it's like perfect.
Mm.
So.
What's like a goal in stand up that you have right now?
Just keep posting shows. I've already been asked, so that's good. As long as it just keeps the momentum keeps going.
Do you try to think of new quirky sayings, or do you just kind
No, I literally look at my mom's dog and it just happens. Like he just brings it. We're being around my mom the other day. I was like saying all this crazy shit. And I'm like, what is happening right now? But my mom says crazy shit too.
Mm.
Like she'll text me and she'll say stuff and I'm like, who are you right now? Like she's a nut and my dad's a nut. Like when we are around each other, that's when I get like my best material because it just comes out. Like I don't even try. It just like comes out.
She's like, you're a crispy tater tot. Write that down. Write that down. Write that down.
Well, I'll like remember like, oh, that was kind of cute. But Elway really brings it out. Elway's so cute.
What do your parents do?
My dad works at a warehouse. My mom works for like the fire department. She's like a receptionist.
Oh, okay. I thought you said she's a firefighter. I was like, what?
No.
Do you ever find did you ever find yourself almost falling and doing like what your parents do for work?
Well, my dad was Air Force, but he's blind now, so I wanted to be Air Force, but I already had my hands tattooed. Also, I don't give a fuck about rules. I don't follow rules. That would not have been good. And then my mom worked at the bank, and I couldn't work at the bank because back then they had the rules and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a financial institution. There's
Yeah.
like,
and my mom was like, "You don't want to work at the bank. Like, you're not gonna do that." I told my parents I wanted to do hair when I was like 7,
mm-hmm.
and then I did it.
No, yeah, I mean, at least you found your niche. The only reason I advocate for working at a bank is just because it provides consistency and stability
Yeah.
that a lot of younger people don't have in their life.
When I started though, I was working at Great Clips, and I was only 18, and I was making like a little bit of money, and then it kept going up and kept going up, and then went from Great Clips to Sport Clips, and now I'm at a bigger salon, and now that's like more financially stable.
One time I was doing Uber when I first moved out here, and there was this girl, and she actually flew out from like New York to go work with this certain artist and like do hair, and I'm like, I didn't even know there's like another world of like people flying out people just because they like the way this person does hair so specifically.
So there is, but yeah, you want to be careful. Like that guy, like Topher that I used to assist for, he's like an amazing hairstylist, and he had a clientele like that were people over 35, like stable jobs that would wait for him to come back, like rent a chair for a day. He'd have like all these clients come in, but like I'm not like shitting on Scottsdale, but I don't know if I would necessarily go to Scottsdale. Like want to have somebody fly me out because okay, now you're paying for me to go out. How long is the service that I'm doing for you? Because I don't take anything that's over 2 hours.
Well, why would you not do that if there's more just profitability? Because wouldn't you want to have just? Because the thing is, why charge less and have a bunch of clients when you could charge a little bit more and then have like really some like a solid good 10 clients? I don't know if that like.
Yeah. So I like working people. I don't want anybody that is like gonna kind of be like on the demanding side, like tell me what to do and do all that. No, because when I did makeup, I would do makeup for like kind of like Hustler-esque magazines, and I was like on their watch. Like they'd be like, oh, we're call time is like 7 a.m. and I'd be there at like 8 a.m. like waiting. Like, okay, this is crossing my boundary now. Like I'm a professional still. Like you're not here on time, all of this stuff. So when you get people, in my own experience, flying you out to do stuff, it's like, it's just kind of you're up in the air.
No, well, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's a weird dynamic of them flying you out and then making demands. Because if anything, it's just like they value you so much they want to fly out. So they just make sure, hey, are you good? Are you good? But I don't know. People lack a lot of perspective.
I would, because even though I don't take anything over 2 hours, I still charge fair and I make a good living off of doing it. I'd rather take care of people in the community versus having somebody fly me out to do something. That's just not for me. For other people, that's like awesome, but not for me.
Have you seen yourself like been able to do that, or people been interested in your work like that?
No, but they can drive to me. I mean, I've had people drive like an hour to see me, but I drive an hour to see other people. Like when I used to get tattooed by somebody in Apache Junction, it took me an hour to get there. Mm-hmm. So you just drive. Like if you like how somebody does something, you'll drive for them.
That's true. Yeah, I was always kind of curious. I know like kind of the dream for like the barbers is just like I don't know. They're just knowing the world of like there's a barber that just travels with like NBA teams and then they just.
I would hate that. Oh my god.
Honestly,
and they do not. In my experience, they do not treat you the best.
Right.
Yeah, not the professional athletes, but it's like, where am I doing here? I'm doing here in the locker room. That's like
I just feel like
maybe
I just feel like every NBA team is like $1 billion, so they kind of have facilities just for everything. They probably have like a bathroom just for the barber.
Yeah, I mean it's like a cool flex, but it's like I like taking care of people in the community and things like that. I'm like DJ Khaled's barber. He's like Snapchatting and the barber's like trying to do a haircut. I hate that shit. When people do that, I'm like, would you please mind putting your phone down and like sit? I always move. I tell people what to do in the like most nicest way possible, but I'm like, move your shoulders back. Okay, do this, do this, do this. Like I don't have time for you to be like on the phone. I'm working right now, like as nice as possible. But like I'm there to get stuff done.
Well, nice. No, yeah, I definitely feel that. I don't like having my phone out either. It's just kind of because it torts my neck the wrong way.
I know. I'm like, nope. You're as the nicest way possible. I like, okay, put your shoulders back, do this, because I'm short too. So like, can you imagine like, I'm just gonna cut your hair down here? Like, no, oh my god, no. You do what I do. Always make the client uncomfortable to an extent. I will not be uncomfortable. Like when I do people's nails and they're like way over here and I'm reaching, I'm like, no. Like their hand's like off the table and I'm doing it.
Because recently I had someone ask for like a photo shoot and they're asking for like a certain style. I'm like, I've never done that style before, so I was like a little bit like not uncomfortable. I was kind of like, oh, hope they like it. Has anyone ever asked you for like some shit and you're like, I don't.
Oh yeah, like I'm like totally honest with people. Like I can do like literally anything with hair, but like when people want like white platinum blonde hair, that's like not something I do. So I just tell them like that's not really something I do. I can do like a natural blonde, but I like literally do not have the color to do that here. So you have this option. If that doesn't work for you, I'd be happy to refer you to somebody. Or if they're spicy chimichangas, I know I can call that shit out real fast. I'm like, oh, I understand what you're asking me to do. I don't think this is a good fit. You're welcome to check out other salons in the area. Please get the fuck out of my chair.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, we'll wrap this up real quick, but like say you see this in like 10 years. What's something that you would want to expect out of yourself?
To own a business.
Own a business?
Yep, and be knocked up. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Hopefully I have a nice partner by then, but it's all good. I won't push it.
Alright, so 10 years, own a business, be knocked up.
And that's it, yep.
Fade to black.
Yep.